The government, as I said in the introduction, is looking to extend the term of repeat prescriptions, allowing patients to wait as long as 12 months before seeing a doctor again to get a new prescription. Currently, the period of supply limit is 3 months in most cases, with 6 months available for contraception or people travelling overseas. Prime Minister Christopher Luxon thinks the idea has some merit, saying there are things that could be done to make regular prescriptions be extended for longer periods so you don't have to front to the GP. Former Health Minister Shane Reti floated the idea last year, saying a question of repeat prescriptions had been put to him to further reduce GPs' workloads, with the suggestion that this actually may consume 10 to 20% of resources. And current Health Minister Simeon Brown said he was seeking advice on a range of initiatives that he says will enable Kiwis to access the timely, quality primary health care that they need. But the benefits of such a change could come at a cost, with the Royal College of General Practitioners warning that a 12-month extension to the period of supply would see a revenue loss to practices that would need to be made up elsewhere. And if they were not, some practices could even close, as well as balancing the patient's safety. And as I said, as someone who I see my doctor every 3 months for the same medication, and nothing changes at a cost of nearly $90 a visit. Me personally, I'd love to have 12 months on this prescription, but then I also see the pitfalls. Joining me now, a good friend of the show, a specialist general practitioner, Dr Bryan Betty. Brian, good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon, Leah. Nice to be here.
Would extending the term of repeat prescriptions, allowing patients to wait 12 months before seeing their doctor again, would that really free up overworked GPs?
Oh, look, there is some evidence around that absolutely it would. There's been some looking at this, that time would be freed up. But, I mean, it identified some potential problems with this. And certainly the College of GPs has come out and said that, look, going from 3 months to 12 months is too long, that it would be better off to do 6 months as the script length. And actually, if you look at overseas, Australia, the UK and America, US, have gone down this track of 6 month scripts. So, yeah, there is a bit of a debate starting to go on about this, the pros and cons of doing it. But there is an argument to say it would free up time, yes.
What would it mean financially to some practices, well, probably all practices, Brian, if they lost their 3 monthly checkups? Because if clinics lose income from fewer prescription visits, how could they make up the shortfall?
So this is the trade-off, and I think the issue here is yes, this does really, really start to cut in for some practices. And what we know across New Zealand, there are practices that are actually on the edge financially, and that's due to the problems with the way that general practice is funded by the government. And we've talked about this before. So for some practices, there's a worry that 10% of income could disappear, and that would actually tip them over. So they're only just viable in terms of financial sustainability. This is an issue that tips it over. So the real issue here, I believe, is absolutely the fact that the underlying funding system for general practice has not been sorted out by successive governments. So this is a symptom of an underlying problem. And that's the issue that needs to be addressed here. So, yeah, some thought needs to go into this, because we can't allow practices to tip as a result of this.
Because I saw quite a staggering number, really. One specialist GP said that the 12-month proposal could mean a $320,000 loss in a patient population of 14,500. So we could, I mean, you said some clinics are on the edge. Could others maybe end up doing things like raise fees, cut services, or change non-contact services? Are there other levers they might pull?
Well, I suppose that's the space you end up in that if you are only just viable and income does drop, for these practices, they have to look at ways of making up that income. Now, that could be through copay, which is government regulated. It could be through cutting back services or manpower or other things that start to happen. So yeah, that is a reality. It's not the case for all practices, and we need to be really, really clear on this. And again, there is a lot of support for moving down this track because it would free up GP time in many cases. But yeah, this is the other side of the equation that does need to be addressed. And as I said, that comes back to the underlying problems with the way that general practice has been funded over the last 2 decades.
Taking the financial side out of it, Brian, the Royal College of General Practitioners also warns that this could be risky for patients. So how serious is that concern?
Yeah, so there's 2 things here that are really, really important. I mean, prescribing a medication is quite complex, and there's legal obligations on the prescriber to make sure that the prescribing is safe, that there are no problems arising with interactions or side effects, and that the patient is aware of all the potential issues with the medication. So there's really, I think, 2 critical things here. Just because this happens, it opens up flexibility that you could do a script for 6 months or 12 months, or still 3 months. But it's a clinical decision that's made, and this is really, really critical. So for certain medications that are stable, you know, your cholesterol's stable, the medication's okay, there are no side effects. Blood pressure medication is sometimes like that. Vitamin D medication, which a lot of people take, is like that. Yeah, it would be absolutely safe to have an extended script for 6 to 12 months. So no problems with that. However, where there's potential problems or other medications being prescribed and there's potential interactions, or you're having to dose adjust because of a particular problem, or you're required to do tests or follow-up with that medication that are required every few months, it's a very, very different situation. So it's it actually has to be up to the clinician themselves who are doing the prescribing to decide what the appropriate length of the script is for a particular medication, and not all medications are equal. We've got to make that point really, really clear. So
you would be quite happy if, obviously, if there were some medications that you think could go 6 months, but like you said, it's up to what the patient and the doctor requires. So the clinician might say, "Hey, Leah, well, you know, this one we only need that, but I would like to see you every 3 months because I'm monitoring you on this other drug."
Yeah, there's issues going on, and we've got to be very, very clear on that. And as I said, it's really as I said, it goes back to this: the prescriber or the doctor who's prescribing the medication or the nurse has to be prescribing in a very safe way. And there's a whole lot of obligations around that. And look, prescribing medication, there's a reason that fees are charged for prescribing medication. It's not, it takes time. I mean, generally when you prescribe medication or it comes into you, if you're not going to see the doctor, we need to look at the notes. We need to make sure no other medication's been prescribed that could interact with it. We often check test results to see when tests were last done and should they be done again. And should the patient be brought in for a review because there's a particular issue that could be potentially arising. So actually that takes time. It's not without work that's required for it to happen often. And that is one of the things that often goes on behind the scenes. So there is a cost involved in that.